Share my bed or freeze, alien warrior's command to the human survivor. He leaned back in his seat, scanning the navigation panel, confident that his route was correct. For weeks, he had traveled alone, charting unexplored systems and collecting data for the Earth Exploration Initiative. Suddenly, a violent jolt shook the shuttle. Warning lights flashed in a chaotic rhythm. "Not now," Alex muttered, gripping the controls. The thrusters sputtered and alarms blared. A panel popped open and cold smoke filled the cockpit. He slammed buttons, trying to regain control, but the shuttle was sliding fast toward a frozen, uncharted planet. The descent was rough. Ice crystals scraped the windows as the ship crashed through the planet's thin atmosphere. Alex braced himself as the shuttle hit the icy surface with a bone-jarring thud. The impact threw him against the seatbelt, and everything went dark for a moment. When he opened his eyes, the shuttle was tilted at a strange angle. Sparks danced across the console, and a fine layer of frost coated the windows. Alex's breath came in short, visible bursts. The temperature was dropping fast. He fumbled with his survival pack, pulling out thermal gloves and a portable heater. The cold was sharper than anything he had ever experienced, gnawing at his fingers and toes. Alex realized quickly that the shuttle would not protect him for long. He needed shelter, fast. Peering outside, he saw nothing but a landscape of frozen plains stretching to jagged mountains. The sky had a strange pale green tint and a faint wind blew, carrying particles of ice that stung his face. Every instinct screamed danger. Then, moving across the icy horizon, he noticed something unusual. Massive figures trudged toward him, each taller than a house, covered in thick armor-like scales. Their footsteps cracked the ice like thunder. Alex froze. He had seen alien life in simulations and reports, but nothing like this. The largest figure, easily twice the width of a human, stopped a few meters from the shuttle. Its eyes, glowing faintly blue, studied Alex intently. The alien lifted a hand, pointing at the shuttle, then at Alex. A deep, resonant voice echoed, though he didn't understand the words at first. Suddenly, the alien barked in broken English, words that sounded strange and commanding. "Share, bed, or freeze?" Alex blinked. Did it just say that? He shivered, not only from the cold, but from confusion. The alien stepped closer, and the heat radiating from its massive body contrasted with the biting wind. His mind raced. He guessed quickly. The alien probably meant he couldn't survive the freezing night without shelter and warmth. Sharing its bed wasn't a threat, but a literal command for survival. Alex swallowed, nodding. Yes, bed okay?" His voice was hoarse. He climbed out of the shuttle, the icy ground crunching beneath his boots. Every step was a struggle, but the alien didn't move aggressively. It simply waited, observing him with interest. The alien led him across the icy plain toward a massive structure carved into the side of a mountain. The dwelling seemed simple from the outside, like a giant stone pod, but frost melted as they approached the entrance. Warm air spilled out in a gentle wave. Alex's teeth chattered with relief. Inside, the space was surprisingly cozy. A large, heated stone platform dominated the room. The alien gestured toward it, and Alex understood. This was the bed he was meant to share. He hesitated, looking at the massive alien again. It had thick arms, covered in scales, and a face that seemed carved from ice itself, yet there was curiosity, not hostility, in its eyes. Alex realized he wasn't just a guest. He was being trusted. That thought warmed him more than any heater could. Thank you," he murmured, stepping onto the platform carefully. He didn't want to damage anything, and he certainly didn't want to insult the alien. The alien, Thrak, he decided to call him, sat down beside him. Alex could feel the heat radiating off Thrak's body. It was unlike anything he had experienced. The temperature difference made Alex's frozen limbs tingle pleasantly. Slowly, he began to relax. "Name, Alex," he said, pointing to himself. The alien nodded once, a deep, vibrating sound echoing in the chamber. "Thrak," the alien responded, pointing to itself. Alex smiled. Communication might be difficult, but names were a start. As the hours passed, Alex learned more. The Krill, as he would later call them, were a warrior race, surviving in conditions humans could not imagine. Their beds were heated platforms that allowed them to conserve energy and survive extreme cold. Sharing such a space was a sign of trust and mutual respect. Alex realized that despite their intimidating appearance, the Krill were cautious and disciplined. They didn't attack without reason, and they valued warmth and cooperation. It was a lesson he needed to remember. On this planet, survival meant adaptation, not confrontation. At first, sleeping was awkward. The platform was enormous, and Alex had to adjust his small human body to its uneven surface. Thrak seemed amused, tilting his head and letting out low, rumbling chuckles. Alex laughed nervously, relieved that humor could cross even the most alien of barriers. During the night, he thought about his predicament. His shuttle was wrecked, and he had no way to contact Earth immediately. Supplies were limited, and the planet's cold was relentless. Yet there was a strange thrill in the situation, a challenge that demanded ingenuity, courage, and patience. When he finally drifted into sleep, Alex dreamed of the icy plains outside, the stars twinkling above and a giant, friendly alien beside him, protecting him from the cold. It was surreal yet comforting. Morning arrived with a soft glow, and Alex awoke to the sound of Thrak moving across the room. The alien handed him a rough but edible food, something like a mix of nuts and frozen fruits, perfectly adapted to their environment. Alex tasted it cautiously. Surprisingly, it was delicious. Thrak seemed to observe his reaction carefully, and when Alex smiled, the alien let out a small, approving grunt. In that moment, a silent understanding passed between them. Survival was easier when allies respected each other's strengths. Alex knew he had to start thinking practically. He explored the dwelling, noting the clever krill designs, insulated walls, heat-conserving materials, and a small water source trickling through the stone. The krill may have been warriors, but they were also brilliant engineers in their own right. He realized humans could contribute too. His mind raced with ideas, small machines to improve heat circulation, better cooking methods, ways to analyze the frozen landscape for resources. Perhaps the krill had the strength and survival instincts, but humans had creativity and adaptability. Together, they could thrive. By midday, the krill outside were preparing for some ritual or patrol. Thrak motioned for Alex to watch. As the massive warriors moved in unison across the ice, Alex marveled at their discipline, strength, and unity. There was something profoundly inspiring about beings so different from humans, yet capable of feelings, humor, and trust. Alex realized something vital. This wasn't just survival. It was learning, adapting, and forming connections. He may be small and weak compared to the krill, but he had something just as valuable, a mind willing to solve problems, find solutions, and understand others. Night came again, and the temperature plummeted. Alex shivered at first but climbed onto the platform beside Thrak. Now he understood the alien's command fully. Share my bed or freeze was a literal warning, but also a lesson. Survival depended on trust, cooperation, and courage. That night, as the wind howled outside and ice crystals danced like sparks against the window, Alex felt something he hadn't felt in a long time: hope. He wasn't just a human stranded on a frozen alien world. He was a survivor, learning from a race stronger than him, yet finding his own strength through wit, courage, and friendship. And somewhere deep inside, he smiled. Sharing a bed with a giant alien warrior wasn't what he expected when he signed up for space exploration. But perhaps it was exactly what he needed. The morning light filtered through the icy window, casting a pale green glow across the krill dwelling. Alex stretched, feeling surprisingly rested after the first night on the heated stone platform. Thrak had already risen, towering above him, moving with the precision and grace of a creature accustomed to harsh environments. Alex watched silently, studying the alien's movements. The krill warrior carried himself with both strength and elegance, a balance that humans rarely saw in someone so massive. Thrak moved toward a stone wall embedded with strange mechanisms. With a few quick gestures, heat spread evenly across the room, keeping the freezing wind outside. Alex couldn't help but admire the alien's engineering skill. "Breakfast?" Alex asked hesitantly, pointing toward a rough tray of krill food. Thrak's deep rumble seemed to translate as "yes." Alex sat carefully and tasted the meal. It was different from anything he had ever eaten, dense, slightly chewy, and rich in energy, but it filled him with warmth and strength. Slowly, he realized that everything about the krill culture was designed for survival in extreme cold. Their food, clothing, and even routines were practical and efficient. After eating, Thrak gestured for Alex to follow. Outside, the krill village spread across the icy plains, built into natural ridges and cliffs. Massive stone structures glimmered under frost, and steam rose from hidden geothermal vents. Krill warriors moved in synchronized patterns, performing tasks with a combination of force and precision. Alex felt both intimidated and inspired. "This is amazing," he whispered to himself. Every step revealed more of their sophisticated society. Though they were enormous and warrior-like, there was an undeniable harmony in how they worked together. Thrak led Alex to a small training ground. "Learn," the alien rumbled, pointing at the exercises the other Krill were performing. Alex watched as the warriors balanced, lifted, and moved with astonishing skill. Then Thrak pointed at him, his eyes glowing faintly. Alex hesitated. He was small and weak in comparison, and he had no combat training. But he understood the gesture. He nodded, preparing to join. The first few attempts were awkward. Alex tripped over his own feet, nearly slipping on the ice-covered ground. The Krill watched, curious but patient. Thrak adjusted a few of Alex's movements with gentle guidance. Slowly, Alex improved. He learned to balance, to move efficiently, and even to perform basic strength exercises using his smaller size to his advantage. By the end of the session, Alex was sweating but smiling. Thrak gave a deep, approving rumble, a sound that Alex began to recognize as praise. It wasn't just about physical strength, it was about adaptability. Humans might lack the raw power of Krill, but they had ingenuity and cleverness. Alex could feel himself earning respect, not through sheer force, but by learning and adapting. After training, Thrak led Alex to a large stone table covered with maps, instruments, and glowing crystals. Alex realized these were the Krill's navigation and weather tools, adapted to detect ice storms, thermal vents, and hidden resources. "You study?" Alex asked, pointing at the maps and crystals. Thrak nodded. Then, with gestures and simple sounds, he explained the Krill's knowledge of their planet, where hidden geysers provided warmth, where dangerous crevasses could trap the unwary, and which areas were rich in minerals. Alex listened carefully, fascinated. The Krill might be physical giants, but their minds were sharp. They understood their environment better than any human team could. Yet, Alex also noticed gaps, places where human logic and engineering could improve things. He couldn't help but imagine small modifications, better heat circulation, improved tools, and methods to make survival even easier. When the lesson ended, Alex spoke. "I have idea." Thrak tilted his head, intrigued. Using gestures, Alex began to demonstrate a simple way to improve heat distribution in their sleeping platforms, using stones, insulation, and controlled airflow. Thrak studied him silently. Then, slowly, he mimicked Alex's movements, testing the idea. After a few attempts, a steady warmth spread across the platform more efficiently than before. The other Krill nearby made approving sounds. Alex felt a rush of pride. Humans may be small, but creativity was their strength. As the day wore on, Alex began to notice the humorous side of Krill culture. They had customs he didn't fully understand, like bowing slightly when greeting or rubbing their foreheads together in a ritual of respect. He accidentally imitated a greeting wrong, causing Thrak to shake his massive head. Alex laughed, and soon the Krill joined him, creating a ripple of amusement across the small group. Humor, he realized, was universal. Even meals became a source of entertainment. Alex tried mixing his human rations with Krill food, creating strange but surprisingly tasty combinations. Thrak observed skeptically, then tasted a small bite. The alien's eyes widened slightly, approval of a sort. By the end of the meal, Alex was teaching Krill simple tricks, like making the food easier to chew or cutting it into smaller portions using human tools. By evening, Alex felt more confident. The alien command to share my bed or freeze no longer seemed intimidating. It had been a lesson in trust and survival, but also the beginning of friendship. Thrak motioned for Alex to follow him back to the platform. The night was colder than the day. Outside, ice crystals swirled in the wind, creating a blizzard-like spectacle. Alex shivered but smiled as he climbed onto the platform beside Thrak. Together, their combined warmth kept the cold at bay. As they lay there, Alex looked around the dwelling. The Krill might have been fierce warriors, but their society was built on cooperation, discipline, and careful observation of the environment. Humans, he realized, could complement these strengths with creativity, problem-solving, and adaptability. It was a partnership waiting to happen. "Alex, survive?" Thrak rumbled, his eyes glowing faintly. "Yes," Alex replied, smiling. "Learn, survive together." Thrak gave a deep, vibrating sound that Alex recognized as approval. They lay in silence for a while, listening to the wind howl outside. Alex felt a strange sense of belonging, as if he had found a home in a place he never imagined. In the following days, Alex began to explore more of the Krill village. He observed warriors repairing structures, harvesting ice for water, and managing resources with meticulous care. He saw children, smaller and more playful Krill, learning survival techniques in ways that reminded him of human schools, learning through play and observation. Alex realized that despite appearances, Krill society was advanced, efficient, and deeply respectful of life. They survived in extreme conditions not through cruelty or aggression, but through discipline, intelligence, and community. Curiosity took hold. Alex started asking questions, pointing at objects, drawing diagrams in the frost-covered windows, and using gestures to communicate. Thrak and the others seemed patient and intrigued by his questions. One afternoon, while exploring a geothermal vent near the village, Alex noticed a problem. The vent's natural heat was uneven, leaving some areas freezing. He quickly sketched an idea on a piece of stone, small channels to redirect heat efficiently. Thrak observed silently, then nodded. Together, they worked to test Alex's concept. Warmth spread evenly across the vent area, and the other Krill warriors watched in amazement. Alex felt a surge of pride. Humans might lack raw strength, but ingenuity could achieve remarkable results. As the sun set over the icy plains, Alex reflected on his situation. The Krill were massive and intimidating, yet they had accepted him. The planet was harsh, yet he had found warmth and friendship. His mind raced with possibilities, improving life for the Krill, learning more about the planet, and perhaps one day finding a way back to Earth. Thrak sat beside him, and for the first time Alex felt fully at ease. Sharing a bed with a giant alien warrior was no longer strange. It was a lesson in trust, respect, and cooperation. The night deepened, and the icy wind outside intensified. But inside the Krill dwelling, warmth, laughter, and curiosity created a small world of safety and learning. Alex realized that survival was not just about enduring the cold. It was about adapting, understanding, and building connections, even in the most unexpected places. By the end of the week, Alex had learned Krill greetings, basic exercises, and clever ways to conserve heat. Thrak had learned a few human tricks for comfort and cooking. Together, they had begun to form a partnership built on mutual respect. As he lay beside Thrak on the heated platform, Alex whispered, "Humans, clever, survive together." Thrak's glowing eyes met his, and a deep rumble echoed, a sound of approval, friendship, and trust. Outside, the icy plains stretched endlessly, but inside, Alex felt a spark of hope. He was no longer just a stranded human. He was a bridge between worlds, learning, teaching, and thriving. The storm outside raged, but inside, warmth and understanding prevailed. And somewhere in the depths of the Krill dwelling, Alex smiled, knowing that this was only the beginning of an adventure that would change both him and the alien warriors forever. The Krill village lay quiet under a pale green sky as Alex stepped outside, stretching his stiff limbs. The air was sharp, carrying the smell of ice and geothermal vents. After a week of learning Krill customs, exercising with Thrak, and improving the dwelling, he felt stronger and more confident. He could balance on the icy ground, carry supplies, and even improvise small tools using Krill materials. Thrak approached silently, his massive footsteps crunching on the ice. "Storm coming," he rumbled. Alex followed the giant alien to a raised observation platform. From there, he could see dark clouds swirling in the distance, approaching fast. The Krill often relied on intuition and experience to read the weather, but Alex noticed patterns in the clouds and winds that suggested the storm might be stronger than usual. "We prepare?" Alex asked, pointing at the approaching clouds. Thrak nodded. The Krill warriors immediately sprang into action, securing structures, insulating entrances, and gathering energy stones to keep heat flowing. Alex watched closely, impressed by their efficiency. Then an idea sparked in his mind. Humans often used clever devices to redistribute energy or heat. Perhaps he could improve their methods. He grabbed his small toolkit from the dwelling and ran to the main hall. "Thrak, follow!" he shouted. Together, they moved through the village, Alex explaining his plan with gestures and broken words. He sketched diagrams in the frost covering a stone wall, showing how channels could redirect heat from the geothermal vents to the sleeping platforms and storage areas. Thrak listened carefully, nodding in approval. The Krill warriors hesitated at first. Their methods had worked for centuries. Why change now? But seeing Alex's confidence combined with Thrak's approval, they agreed to try. Alex worked quickly, placing small stones and carving channels with a chisel. Thrak helped, using his strength to lift massive slabs with ease. Slowly, warmth began to flow more evenly through the village. By the time the storm arrived, the Krill were ready, or at least better prepared than usual. Snow and ice swirled violently, carried by gusts strong enough to knock over smaller structures. The storm was unlike anything Alex had imagined. He clung to the platform, watching the village tremble under nature's force. "Cold, strong," he muttered. The Krill nodded grimly. Their survival depended not only on strength, but on ingenuity, exactly the human skill Alex brought. For hours, the storm raged. Alex moved between platforms, checking heat flow, redistributing stones, and making small adjustments to keep everyone safe. Thrak stayed by his side, communicating through grunts, gestures, and shared glances. The human and alien worked as a team, combining strength, knowledge, and creativity. By nightfall, the storm had intensified. Visibility dropped to almost zero, and the wind screamed like a living creature. Some Krill warriors worried that the storm might trap the entire village in ice. Alex's heart pounded. If they failed, everyone could suffer, but he refused to panic. "Think together," he whispered to Thrak. The Krill nodded. This was more than survival, it was a test of teamwork. Alex suggested using the geothermal vents in a new way. By digging shallow channels into the ice, they could redirect heat to critical areas and prevent collapse. Thrak's massive claws and strength made the task easier, while Alex's precise placement of small stones ensured efficiency. The Krill were skeptical at first, but as the channels began to heat, frost melted and structures stabilized. A sense of relief spread across the village. Alex's human ingenuity had turned the tide. Hours passed, and exhaustion crept in. Alex and Thrak returned to the main platform, panting but satisfied. The storm continued outside, but the village remained intact. Thrak gave a deep rumble, a sound Alex had come to recognize as admiration and respect. "You, clever, survive," Thrak said, his glowing eyes meeting Alex's. Alex smiled. "Team, survive together." Even in the storm, the Krill began to notice other benefits of Alex's ideas. Heat was more evenly distributed, supplies were preserved, and tasks that had once taken hours were now completed more efficiently. The villagers' morale lifted. They had survived stronger than ever, thanks to the unexpected human. The next morning, the storm showed no signs of letting up. Alex explored the outer village, checking the newly constructed channels and ensuring the geothermal vents functioned properly. He marveled at how the Krill combined brute strength with subtle precision. Humans and Krill were very different, yet they could complement each other perfectly. Later, Thrak led him to a high ridge overlooking the village. The wind had calmed slightly, and the sky was a faint mix of green and white. Alex could see the damage from the storm. Ice formations had shifted, and some paths were blocked, but overall the village stood resilient. "Human, strong mind," Thrak said, his voice full of respect. "Krill, strong body, together survive." Alex nodded, understanding the truth in those words. Humans may not have raw strength like the Krill, but their minds could solve problems that brute force alone could not. That evening, as they returned to the heated platform, Alex noticed something new. The Krill children, who had been shy and cautious, were trying to imitate his movements, copying his gestures as he adjusted the heat channels. Alex laughed, realizing that he had begun teaching them small lessons in human problem-solving. The children's excitement and curiosity filled him with hope. "Teach, fun," he said to Thrak. The alien grunted in agreement. Over the next few days, Alex and Thrak worked together to reinforce the village against future storms. They improved heating channels, adjusted sleeping platforms, and devised early warning methods using ice formations and wind patterns. The Krill watched closely, learning from the humans' ingenuity. Through this process, Alex also learned more about Krill culture. Their routines, which had seemed strange at first, made perfect sense in context. Warmth, safety, and teamwork were central to their society. Physical closeness on the sleeping platforms was practical, not personal. Rituals of respect and hierarchy ensured survival in an unforgiving environment. One evening, after a long day of work, Alex asked Thrak about their history. Using gestures and simple words, the Krill explained that storms like this occurred every few years, and villages had to be resilient. Their survival depended on careful planning, trust, and courage. Humans, Thrak implied, could add another layer: creativity and adaptability. Alex felt proud. Even stranded on this icy world, he had a purpose. He wasn't just surviving, he was making a difference. Humans were proving themselves in ways that strength alone could not achieve. Night fell and the storm outside began to weaken. Alex climbed onto the platform beside Thrak, feeling the warmth from the heat channels and the alien's massive body. He reflected on the events of the past week, a human stranded on a frozen planet, teaching and learning, surviving and thriving. "Storm, pass," Thrak said. "Yes, strong together," Alex replied. The Krill rumbled in agreement. As he drifted to sleep, Alex thought about the challenges ahead. The planet was vast and full of surprises. There were resources to explore, knowledge to gain, and mysteries waiting to be solved. But for the first time, he felt confident that humans and Krill could face anything together. The storm outside left a world glistening with ice, reflecting the green-tinted sky. Inside, the village was safe, warm, and united. Alex realized that survival was no longer a test of endurance alone. It was a collaboration of minds, strength, and trust. Humans and Krill working together could thrive even in the harshest conditions, and somewhere deep inside, Alex smiled. Sharing a bed with a giant alien warrior had started as a strange command, but it had become the foundation of friendship, learning, and survival. Together, they had faced the storm and emerged stronger. The wind howled outside, carrying the chill of a planet few humans had ever seen. But inside, warmth, trust, and ingenuity prevailed. Alex knew that this was only the beginning. Many challenges awaited, but for now, the Krill village was a beacon of hope, a place where humans and aliens could learn from each other and survive, no matter the odds. The storm had passed, leaving the Krill village sparkling under a clear sky. Frost clung to every surface, creating a dazzling landscape of ice and light. Alex stepped outside, taking a deep breath of the crisp, cold air. Despite the freezing temperatures, he felt more alive than ever. Over the past week, he had survived a crash, learned Krill customs, faced a fierce storm, and helped save the village with his human ingenuity. Thrak was already waiting near the main platform, adjusting a heat channel that Alex had designed. The massive Krill warrior looked down at Alex, his glowing blue eyes reflecting both pride and curiosity. "Good, human help," Thrak rumbled. Alex smiled. "Learned together help," he replied. It had become easier to communicate through gestures, simple words, and shared understanding. Words were not always needed when teamwork and trust spoke louder. The Krill villagers were stirring, performing their daily routines with remarkable efficiency. Some were tending geothermal vents, while others carried supplies across the village. Alex noticed the younger Krill, especially the children, imitating the human gestures and small problem-solving tricks he had shown them. It was heartwarming and slightly amusing to see tiny Krill toddlers struggling to lift stones that were already enormous for humans, all while copying Alex's motions. Thrak gestured for Alex to follow him. "Learn more," he said. Alex followed, curiosity sparking in his mind. They moved through the village to a large training arena where Krill warriors practiced daily routines of strength, agility, and endurance. Alex watched carefully. The movements were precise, disciplined, and coordinated. Then Thrak gestured for Alex to join. At first, it was difficult. Alex was small and untrained in these rigorous exercises, and he struggled to keep up with the immense strength and reach of the Krill warriors. He stumbled, tripped, and nearly fell several times. But Thrak guided him patiently, adjusting his posture and encouraging him with low rumbles. Alex realized that this was not just physical training, it was a lesson in discipline and observation. Every movement had a purpose, and every gesture had meaning. He began to notice patterns, predict motions, and use his smaller size to move quickly and efficiently where the Krill could not. Slowly, Alex improved, performing exercises that would have been impossible on his own. By the end of the session, Alex was sweating, exhausted but exhilarated. Thrak's deep rumble echoed approval. He had learned not only the physical routines but also the Krill philosophy: Survival was about strength, yes, but also intelligence, observation, and adaptation. After training, Alex and Thrak returned to the dwelling. Alex noticed the krill cooking area, where villagers prepared their dense, energy-rich food. Using his human knowledge, Alex suggested small improvements, ways to cut food more efficiently, mix ingredients for better nutrition, and even distribute warmth from the cooking fires to nearby sleeping platforms. Thrak observed closely as Alex demonstrated each idea. The krill were skeptical at first, but when they tried his methods, the benefits became clear. Food was prepared faster, more efficiently, and even tasted slightly better, at least to Alex's human palate. The krill made approving rumbles, a sign Alex had learned meant respect and recognition. As evening approached, Alex realized that he had begun to integrate fully into krill society. He was no longer an outsider, he was a contributor. His ideas and ingenuity were valued, and he had earned a place of trust among the massive warriors. Thrak gestured toward the heated platform. "Rest, together, survive," he said. Alex nodded, climbing up. Over the past days, he had learned that the krill view physical closeness as practical and respectful, not personal. Sharing warmth was a matter of life and survival in this icy world. Alex lay beside Thrak, feeling the massive alien's warmth seep into his bones. As he relaxed, Alex thought about the bond that had formed. It was not just survival, it was friendship, learning, and mutual respect. Humans and krill were different in almost every way, but together they could achieve more than either could alone. The next morning, Alex woke to the krill children watching him curiously. They wanted to learn human methods for problem-solving, cooking, and even small mechanical tricks. Alex spent hours teaching them in playful ways, showing how to build simple heat channels, use stones to redirect energy, and create small tools from ice and metal. Thrak watched silently, clearly impressed. Even the adult krill began to participate, testing Alex's ideas in their own large-scale ways. What had started as playful lessons for children became a full-scale collaboration between human and krill knowledge. One afternoon, as they worked on reinforcing the village structures, a small problem arose. A channel carrying heat from a geothermal vent had cracked under the weight of ice, leaving part of the platform dangerously cold. Alex quickly analyzed the situation, measuring angles, thickness, and the flow of heat. Using a combination of krill strength and human ingenuity, he devised a solution, splitting the heat flow across multiple channels and reinforcing the broken section with layered stone and insulation. Thrak assisted, lifting massive slabs and guiding Alex's precise placements. Together, they restored the system, and warmth flowed evenly once again. The villagers murmured their approval, and Alex felt a deep sense of accomplishment. Humans may be small, but minds and creativity were as powerful as brute strength. Later that day, Thrak led Alex to the outskirts of the village, where a frozen river snaked across the icy landscape. Alex noticed subtle cracks forming in the ice, potentially dangerous for travelers or hunters. He suggested small markers and bridges, simple tools that would guide the krill safely across. Thrak nodded, understanding immediately, and together they began implementing the plan. As they worked, Alex realized something important. The krill were incredibly strong and disciplined, but their society had grown rigid over centuries. Humans brought flexibility, creativity, and problem-solving, complementing krill's strengths in ways neither side could have imagined alone. By evening, their work was done. The frozen river was now safer, reinforced, and easy to navigate. Alex looked at the icy expanse and smiled. Despite the cold, danger, and isolation, he felt a profound sense of accomplishment. Back at the heated platform, Alex reflected on his journey. He had come to this world as a crash survivor, unsure of what to expect. Now, he was a trusted partner, teaching, learning, and thriving alongside one of the universe's most impressive alien species. Thrak's glowing eyes met his, and he rumbled softly, a sound that Alex had come to understand as gratitude and friendship. "Human, clever, help krill," Alex smiled. "Together, stronger, survive," he replied. Words were not enough to capture everything. They had built a bond that went beyond language. The following days continued with training, teaching, and collaboration. Alex and Thrak developed new strategies to protect the village from future storms, improve cooking methods, and teach krill children both physical exercises and problem-solving techniques. Laughter, curiosity, and learning filled the dwelling, creating warmth that rivaled any heater. One evening, as they rested on the platform, Alex looked out at the glittering ice fields. He thought about the human ability to adapt, innovate, and inspire even in unfamiliar worlds. He realized that this journey was not just about survival. It was about building connections, learning from others, and proving that humans could thrive anywhere. Thrak shifted slightly, nudging Alex with a massive hand. It was a gesture of camaraderie and trust, one that made Alex feel truly part of Krill's society. He realized that survival in this harsh world required not only strength and knowledge, but also friendship, respect, and cooperation. That night, as Alex lay beside Thrak on the heated platform, he felt a deep sense of satisfaction. Humans and Krill, so different in size, strength, and biology, had found a way to work together. The bond they had formed was stronger than any storm, more enduring than the icy winds outside. Alex closed his eyes, feeling the warmth seep into his bones. He thought about the adventures yet to come, the lessons still to be learned, and the mysteries of the icy planet waiting to be explored. But for now, he was safe, respected, and truly part of something greater than himself. And in that moment, he understood the truth of the Krill command that had first startled him. Share my bed or freeze. It was not only a warning, it was a lesson in trust, survival, and the power of collaboration. Humans might be small, fragile, and new to this world, but their ingenuity, courage, and adaptability could turn even the harshest environment into a place of learning, growth, and friendship. And Alex, lying beside a giant alien warrior, had become the living proof. Outside, the wind whispered through the ice, but inside, warmth, laughter, and hope filled the Krill village. Alex smiled, knowing that he had found a new home, a new family, and a new purpose. And somewhere deep within, he realized that this was only the beginning of a partnership that could change both human and Krill lives forever. The Krill village glimmered under the soft light of a pale green sky. Frost coated every surface, reflecting the colors in delicate patterns. Alex stood on the observation platform beside Thrak, feeling the warmth from the geothermal vents beneath their feet. After weeks of learning Krill customs, surviving storms, and sharing knowledge, he had begun to feel at home in this alien world. Thrak turned his massive head toward Alex. Humans strong, clever. Krill strong, endure, together survive. Alex nodded. Yes, together stronger. He felt proud, but also humble. Survival on this icy planet was not about strength alone. It was about teamwork, respect, and mutual understanding. And now, the Krill seemed to see humans as more than just fragile creatures. They were partners, capable of contributing in ways their massive bodies could not. The peaceful morning was interrupted by a sudden alert. One of the Krill scouts returned from the distant ice plains, panting and shaking his head. Using gestures and broken English, he conveyed the message. A massive ice field, unstable from the recent storm, was threatening to collapse near the village's main water source. If it gave way, the geothermal channels could be blocked, cutting off heat and endangering everyone. Alex's heart raced. He quickly analyzed the situation. The ice field was enormous and the risk was serious. But he also saw an opportunity to use human ingenuity alongside Krill's strength. Thrak, we stop, collapse, he said, pointing toward the unstable ice. The alien nodded, understanding immediately. Alex grabbed his toolkit while Thrak rallied a small group of Krill warriors. Together, they marched toward the edge of the ice field. The wind was biting, carrying shards of frost that cut at exposed skin. The ice groaned ominously under its own weight. Careful, Alex warned, moving slowly. Despite his small size, he had learned to navigate ice with precision. Thrak and the warriors used their massive bodies to stabilize certain sections, while Alex directed them where to place support stones and channels to redirect pressure. Hours passed. The humans and Krill worked as a single team. Thrak lifted enormous ice blocks, placing them carefully to reinforce weak points. Alex calculated angles, measured distances, and adjusted the placement of smaller stones with exact precision. The Krill watched and followed his guidance, amazed at how a human's mind could solve problems their strength alone could not. At one point, a huge section of ice shifted unexpectedly. Thrak's reflexes saved Alex from being crushed, but it was the human's quick thinking that prevented disaster. Alex shouted instructions, signaling where to place new supports. With a combination of strength and ingenuity, they stabilized the ice. By evening, the ice field was secure, the water source was safe, and the geothermal channels were intact. The Krill warriors rumbled approval, their voices echoing across the icy plains. Alex, exhausted and covered in frost, smiled proudly. Humans may not be physically imposing, but their minds could change the outcome of even the most dangerous situations. As they returned to the village, Thrak gestured toward Alex with a glowing eye. Krill, accept human, together, strong. Alex realized that this was more than praise, it was a formal recognition. Humans were no longer outsiders. They had proven themselves as capable allies, bridging the gap between species. The next few days were filled with celebration and learning. The Krill held a special ceremony to honor Alex's contributions. Children and adults alike gathered, curious and eager to witness the unusual event. Alex stood beside Thrak, feeling both nervous and proud. Using gestures and simple words, Thrak explained Alex's achievements. Stabilizing the ice field, improving heating channels, teaching problem-solving techniques, and contributing to daily survival. The Krill villagers listened attentively, rumbling and nodding in approval. Alex felt a deep sense of fulfillment. His efforts had earned him respect, friendship, and a place in Krill society. It was a testament to the power of cooperation, creativity, and courage. Humans might be smaller and weaker physically, but their minds could shape outcomes in ways no amount of strength alone could achieve. After the ceremony, Alex and Thrak walked to the edge of the village, overlooking the vast ice plains. The wind had calmed, leaving the world sparkling with frost. Alex marveled at the landscape, thinking about all they had endured together. Human, clever, teach, Krill, Thrak said, his glowing eyes reflecting the sunlight. Yes, share, learn together, Alex replied. He realized that this partnership was more than survival. It was a bond of trust, friendship, and mutual respect. Over the next weeks, Alex continued to integrate into Krill society. He taught small engineering principles, creative problem-solving, and resource management. The Krill, in turn, shared their knowledge of the planet, survival strategies, and physical training techniques. Laughter, curiosity, and learning filled the days. One afternoon, Alex noticed the children experimenting with some of the small tools he had taught them to make. He watched as they discovered new ways to channel heat, transport water, and measure ice thickness. Their excitement was contagious. Alex realized that humans and Krill, working together, could innovate in ways neither species could achieve alone. Thrak joined him, observing the young Krill. Future, strong human help, he said. Alex smiled. The bond between species was growing stronger, one small lesson at a time. Then came a challenge unlike any they had faced. A distant mountain, recently destabilized by the storm, was threatening to release a massive icefall that could block vital trade routes and disrupt the ecosystem of the frozen plains. The Krill Council debated how to respond. The ice was too large for any Krill warrior to handle alone, and the methods they had used before were insufficient. Alex stepped forward. We combine human Krill, he suggested, using sketches and gestures to explain a strategy. His plan combined Krill's strength with human engineering principles. Small controlled explosions to redirect pressure, strategically placed support channels, and precise timing to prevent collapse. The council was skeptical, but Thrak supported Alex. Human clever, guide us, he rumbled. With Thrak's endorsement, the Krill agreed to attempt the plan. The operation was massive. Alex coordinated, giving instructions and adjusting calculations as the Krill carried out each step. The ice shifted unpredictably, but Alex's quick thinking and the Krill's strength kept the plan on track. Hours passed, and finally the icefall was redirected safely. The mountainside was secure and the vital trade routes remained open. The villagers erupted in cheers. Alex, exhausted but elated, realized the significance of their achievement. Humans had become integral to Krill's survival, not only as helpers, but as partners capable of solving complex problems in ways Krill alone could not. That night, as the village celebrated with warmth, food, and laughter, Alex climbed onto the heated platform beside Thrak. The massive warrior's glow reflected the flickering light of the fires. You, human, valued, Thrak said simply. Alex smiled, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. Krill valued friends, he replied. Sharing the heated platform was no longer a strange command. It was a symbol of trust, mutual respect, and unity. Over time, the bond between humans and krill strengthened. The krill learned from Alex's creativity, patience, and problem-solving, while Alex absorbed the wisdom, discipline, and resilience of the krill. Together, they became stronger, more adaptable, and better prepared for any challenge this icy world could present. Alex realized that survival was no longer just about enduring storms or freezing temperatures. It was about learning, teaching, and building connections that transcended species. Humans might be physically weaker, but their minds, courage, and ingenuity made them indispensable. The krill village thrived. Heat was efficiently distributed, water sources were secure, and trade routes were open. The children played and learned, incorporating human ideas into krill techniques. Alex's presence had changed the community, demonstrating that cooperation and respect could overcome the harshest challenges. One morning, as Alex and Thrak stood on a high ridge overlooking the icy plains, Alex reflected on everything that had happened. He had come to this planet alone, stranded and vulnerable. But through ingenuity, courage, and friendship, he had not only survived, he had thrived. Thrak nudged him gently. Future, strong, human krill together. Alex nodded, smiling. Yes, together always. As the sun rose, casting golden light across the frost-covered landscape, Alex understood a profound truth. Survival was not about strength alone, nor intelligence alone. It was about working together, respecting differences, and learning from one another. Humans and krill, united by trust and friendship, could face anything. And somewhere deep inside, Alex felt a joy he had never known, a sense of belonging, purpose, and hope. He had found a new home, new friends, and a new life on a world that had seemed hostile and unforgiving. The icy wind whispered through the plains, but inside the krill village, warmth, laughter, and ingenuity prevailed. Humans and krill had formed an alliance, stronger than any storm, brighter than any ice-covered sun, and enduring beyond any challenge. Alex lay beside Thrak on the heated platform, closing his eyes. Together, they had survived, learned, and grown. Together, they had proven that friendship, courage, and cleverness could conquer even the harshest world. And as the stars began to twinkle above the frozen plains, Alex knew that this was only the beginning of a future where humans and krill would thrive side by side, teaching, learning, and exploring the mysteries of the universe, together.